Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to answer a 10-mark question in iGCSE history, step by step so you can aim for the highest marks. The question I'll be answering is, how far do you agree that the Treaty of Versailles was the main cause of World War II? Now, this is a classic 10-mark question. You'll see questions like, how far do you agree in almost every exam? And what the examiner is really testing is, can you argue both sides? Can you use evidence? And can you reach a clear judgment? To get full marks, you need three things. First, a balanced argument. This means you must explain both sides. Second, developed and explained points, not just stating facts, but developing them. And third, a clear judgment at the end where you actually answer the question. Your structure. You want an introduction, an agree paragraph, a disagree paragraph, and a conclusion. Now, here's the thing. You may be asking, well, how many paragraphs do I need to write? Well, it really depends. I know you've heard this multiple times, but it really depends. You can do, but what I'd recommend is two agree, one disagree, or two disagree, one agree, depending on how you're answering the question. Your paragraph should be in appeal structure, where you state your point, you provide evidence, you explain your evidence, and you link your paragraph to the question. So, in your introduction, you want to introduce what the Treaty of Versailles actually was, and introduce what your essay will be about. And for the last sentence in your intro, you want to answer the question. Now, of course, this will also show you whether to write two agree, one disagree, or two disagree, one agree. Next, your agree paragraph. You could argue that the Treaty of Versailles was the main cause of World War II. For example, the treaty was very harsh on Germany. It reduced its military, took away land, and forced it to pay reparations. This caused huge anger and resentment in Germany, which made people more likely to support extreme leaders like Hitler, who promised to undo the treaty. Now, for the other side, you could argue that other factors were more important. For example, Hitler's aggressive foreign policy, like rearming Germany and invading other countries, directly led to war. Also, the appeasement allowed Hitler to keep expanding without consequences. So you can argue that while the treaty created problems, it wasn't the main cause of war. Now, this is one of the most important parts of your essay, and it's also where many students lose marks. You must give a clear judgment. For example, you could say, overall, the Treaty of Versailles was an important cause because it created a long-term anger in Germany. However, Hitler's actions were more important because they directly caused the outbreak of war. Notice how this clearly answers the question and also goes into why. Again, this is a model paragraph for an agree. And now I'll be talking about the common mistakes that students make. First, only writing one side of the argument. This is obvious, and it's obvious why you only lose, and it's obvious why you lose marks if you only talk about one side of the argument. Second, not explaining their points, just stating facts. And third, forgetting the judgment at the end. And again, not developing your evidence. If you avoid these, I guarantee you your marks will improve a lot. Now, for the one thing a lot of students have trouble with, time management. And now I'll talk to you about how you can actually manage your time better in these 10 markers. First of all, spending the first 5 to even 10 minutes planning out your essay, thinking about what you actually will talk about, how you will answer the question, whether you agree with the question, disagree with the question. Write it all out. This will give you a clear view of how your essay will turn out and what you will write. And planning your essay out at first will almost always give you a time advantage. You really don't want to be diving straight into your essay because most likely you'll reach a point where you get a brain freeze, where you don't know what to write anymore, and you will lose more time thinking then than if you spend the first 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning planning. The second thing you can do is just practice, 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 practice. Write a lot of essays in time conditions. This will train you to write faster, think faster, and will overall help you manage your time. And it will also help you see the types of questions that pop up in these 10 markers. That's all. Thank you for listening, and I wish you good luck in your exams, and I hope you do well.